Chapter 8, Q&A. I'm not a man without honour. I know that killing this red man after he may have saved my life here should seem like a low move, but it doesn't. If nothing else, I saved his life first, so we're even on that front. And with that obstacle out of the way, we're just two soldiers on opposite sides of a war. That makes killing him the right thing to do, doesn't it? I ponder that for a moment before wondering why my mind is even letting me have this conversation. I would have thought it would have just told me to kill him and be done with it. He has no value to me now that we're out of danger. Or does he? Maybe my mind knows something I don't. While I've been having this moral debate, the red man has just sat there, staring at the lamp on the floor between us, not saying a word. 50 minutes to go, I prompt him, tapping my watch for emphasis. You have not asked me any questions, he responds. He has a point. Alright, let's start with the obvious. Why were you on that cross when I found you? That family you fought with, they blamed me for what happened here. I chuckle dryly. Did they think you were human? I only asked because it doesn't seem like an easy mistake to make. They did not, he answers. But for some there is something worse than an enemy, yes? He points at my pack. May I have my bag? I open my pack and find his bag, the one he recovered when I took him down from the cross. I give it one last scan to check for weapons before I toss it to him, and he opens it up. Slowly, I warn him, levelling my pistol at his chest as he reaches inside and rummages around. A moment later he pulls out the gold jewellery I'd seen sat in the bottom earlier. Now I see it's a long chain, complete with some sort of large medallion on the end. He lifts it high up and lowers it over his head. As he does so, a change takes place. On top of his previously bald head, there now sits a high, round, white hat, and down to where the medallion rests, just above his stomach, flows a long, white beard that leaves his top lip bare. A long, loose white robe completes the look. Worse than an enemy is a leader who fails his people. Clever mind. You managed to put two and two together, even when I didn't. The strange way of speaking and the change should have told me what I was dealing with. You're a cleric, I say, by way of confirmation. I am. That explains why my mind was so keen to keep him alive. The clerics were one of the few things down here that we were told to capture, if possible. They were the Reds' priests, politicians, and generals, all rolled into one. Taking them up for interrogation was first priority, if we sighted them. That doesn't matter now, though. There's nobody left to interrogate him, and he'd probably have nothing valuable to tell them, even if there was. It's a bit pointless taking revenge on you at this point, isn't it? I ask. Most believe it is never too late for that, I fear. How would you feel if you came face to face with your leaders now, the ones who brought you here, the ones who left you here? You would want revenge, yes? He isn't wrong. I can't say that I didn't think like that in the early days. Why did this happen? Why did they drop the bombs on us? Why did they leave when they knew some of us were still down here? All of that. If I'd come across one of the politicians who was in charge of this war back then, I think it may have ended in violence, though crucifixion might have been a bit much. A bullet in the head would have done it. As if he could read my mind, the red man throws a question of his own at me. Do you want to know why they left you here? Of course I do. I might have learnt to live with it, but that doesn't mean it hasn't played on my mind. A lot. I think only they'd know that, I tell him. And they're not here. Ah, but I know, he tells me. I expect a smirk to come across his face, but of course it doesn't. Save for the new hat, robes and beard, he has the same dead red face as all his kind. I expect the smirk, because he's got me, and he knows he's got me. Would this information be enough for you to let me go? I ponder that for a moment. Theoretically it would. I told him I wanted something interesting for his freedom, and this is certainly that. Tell me, are you sure? He asks. Will you have me tell you the truth, even if you do not like what I have to say? I said, tell me. Very well. There is a saying I have heard from your people. It is, great minds think alike. Perhaps a better thing to say might be, dangerous minds think alike. To end this war, your people brought all they had here. Your ships, your soldiers, your most powerful weapons. You. Despite this, did you not think it was too easy to invade our space, to land your ships and to conquer us? He has a point. It did seem an easier invasion than we'd been led to believe it would be. The months that it took to get here had been filled with combat drills and simulations on board the ships. Drills for what would happen when we slowed out of jump. Drills for what would happen when we dropped onto the planet. Drills for the resistance we could expect on the ground. Drills for everything. In between all that, there were lectures and classes, teaching us anything else they thought we might need to know when we got here. And behind all of that lay the simple fact that we knew a lot of us weren't going to be making the return trip. The Reds might have smaller, weaker forces than us, we were told, but they'll be fighting for their home, so they'll fight hard. All those lectures and drills had seemed pointless as we waltzed in and smashed through everything they threw at us. Still, at the time I wasn't complaining. Nobody was. It was a textbook invasion of a planet, if there is such a thing. I can tell from your silence that you do think it was too easy, the cleric continues. That is because the forces you encountered here were the weakest ones, the ones that were left behind. Our strongest forces were gone. Gone, I ask. Gone where? To do the same to your planet as you were intending to do to ours. To invade, to kill, to conquer, to end this war in one move. He gives that a moment to sink in. They left long before you arrived. If only the paths we used through the stars were like a road, your people and mine would have passed each other on the way. Perhaps then they could have fought there, and only involved the soldiers. Perhaps this would have saved my planet and its people from the horror they have suffered. Who can know now? I can only assume that your commanders realized what had happened soon after the fighting here began, and they chose to abandon their conquest here, and to return home to your Earth in the hope of defending it in time. It seems they decided to make sure they won the war, even if they were too late, and their planet was lost. That explains the bombs then. They left and decided to burn the Reds' home to the ground before they went. Makes sense, I suppose. I guess they didn't have time to look for me down in the tunnels when they were gathering everybody else up and heading home. I must have been trapped in that hole just before they dropped the bombs. Well, that makes me feel a little less rejected. Part of me feels like I should be worried about Earth, about what the Red Men might have done to my planet if the fleet didn't get back in time. I've got nothing specific to worry about back there, no family at least, and what friends I had were in the service. Still, the thought of my home looking like this dead place makes me angry. How do you know all this? I ask. I had certain privileges and access to high-level information. Why was that? There was a time when your people and mine were friends. This seems like a long time in the past now, yes? In that time I was an ambassador. I met many of your leaders and helped to create our first treaty of peace. A peace that did not last, of course. So that's how you understand me when the rest of you Reds have no clue what I'm saying, I ask. You've learnt my language. I thought that wasn't possible. You are right. It is no more possible for us to use your language than it is for you to use ours. Both of our peoples used technology to overcome this. When the bombs destroyed everything, they took that technology with them, at least for my people. Your translators work because your military left the machines that run them in orbit when they departed. I can understand you because I am using the same technology. It is something that was given to me as a gift when our peoples were still friends, and they said they were looking for a brighter future together. Doesn't look too bright now, does it? It was inevitable. I realized that in the short time I spent among you. I tried to warn my people, but unfortunately they would not listen to me. The facts should have been clear to anyone who cared to look. You are warlike. Sooner or later you are going to turn to violence. You cannot help yourselves. This angers me even more. I push my chair back and get to my feet. The red man doesn't react. He looks at me blankly. I feel like he's saying, do it, hurt me, prove me right. I want to. Fuck you, I say. Your people started this. You started the war, not us. You're the one who attacked first. You believe this? He asks me. Of course I do. It's the truth. It's what they told us. Are you saying that's not what happened? That is not what I asked. I asked whether you believe it. Of course I do. I saw the footage of the first attacks. I saw what you did, the bodies you left behind. Did you? Tell me then, what did you see? I get in his face. I saw red bastards like you massacring women and children, taking their heads off for trophies. You saw this done by men like me. Damn right, I tell him, just like you. Same red faces, same evil red eyes, everything but the little white hats and beards. You were back here directing it all. When? He asks. What? When did you see this thing, this proof of what you believe? Was it before or after you joined the military? What the hell does that matter? Before, I answer. It was the reason I signed up. It was the reason a lot of us did. And when you did so, this was when you agreed to let them alter your mind, yes? Yeah, so? I felt privileged. They could only do it for 1 in 1,000 of us. We were special. What exactly did they do to you? He asks. They made me a better soldier, a better instrument of revenge. That's what they did. This conversation is starting to really piss me off. Why the fuck am I answering your questions? You know more about this situation than I do. You know exactly what they did, don't you? I do, the cleric admits. But do you? I'm sick of your questions, I tell him. I've kept you alive because I wanted answers, not questions. Then I will give you them. You let them alter your mind so that what you see makes more sense to you. The planet you are on, my planet, is nothing like yours. We do not live like you do, or look anything like you do. They have altered your perception to help you survive. Our dwellings appear to you like the buildings you are used to seeing, even though they are nothing like this. You can read our writing, if only in a basic sense. Things that you eat here appear to your eyes like the foods you are used to. They even taste like them, yes? He's right, but I'm not giving him the satisfaction of a response. But it is not for survival these alterations are primarily made. It is for the opposite of this. It is to make you a better killer. It is so that the enemy you see in front of your eyes makes sense to your mind. It is so you will have no regret when you kill, because when you kill us, you are killing demons. When you point your gun at my head, as I can see you fighting an urge to do now, you are not even pointing where you think you are. My brain is not sat on top of my body like yours. Everything you perceive when you look at me or at my people is false. It is an illusion designed to make your job easier. I know all this, I shout. I know what I agreed to. Do you? He asks again. Tell me then, how could you have seen footage of men who look like I do now, committing the crimes you believe they did, before this mind alteration took place? He pauses to let that question sink in. Tell me how that could be possible. Tell me how you could see these images of red demons like me before your mind had been altered to perceive us in this way. I can't, because I don't know. The alteration, I attempt. It works backwards, changes things in my mind from the past. I don't know if this is true. It sounds like it could be true. It sounds like it makes sense. Then you cannot know what you know, can you? They could have changed anything, yes? They could have changed everything. Shut up. I will not, he says simply. You have no idea whether what you are doing is right or not, do you? You have no idea because everything you know may be false. You are a tool, a machine designed to kill without remorse. You are more demonic than the image you see when you look at my kind. No, I argue, but I know that's not an argument. I pace the room. You came here to fight, but the best of our fighters were gone. Instead, you went from home to home and killed old men, defenseless women and children. Still, this did not stop you, did it? I never killed any kids, I protest, and even now I can hear how cliched it sounds. How would you know? The red man asks. What do our children look like? I think. I don't know. I've never seen any of them. No female reds either. They must have hid them somewhere when we came. We were told that this is a male-dominated culture. That's it. They hid them. Even now, you are trying to convince yourself you were in the right, yes? That you are not an evil thing. Well, you cannot. I know what the bodies of children look like. I see them all around. In the streets, in the buildings, in the remains of my home. They lie crushed and broken where your kind left them, where you left them. No, I didn't, not me. You did, because to you we all look the same. We are all demons, and we are all to be killed. You suffer no guilt, because when we die, you do not even have to look at our corpses. What do your eyes show you in the streets? What do you see when we die? Black. What do you see? He asks again. Black, I answer. Black mounds of nothing that have littered each path I've walked on here and been increased in my wake. He points his finger at me. You are the monster. They may have made it easier for you to kill and live with it, but like you told me yourself, you knew what you were agreeing to. It is you who is the demon, like all of your kind. It didn't stop your people though, did it? I ask him. Great minds think alike, you said. You judge us, but you told me you were planning on doing the same damn thing. We just did it first. You are wrong. My people went to your planet to fight you, this is true. But we would never have done what you have done here. To kill an entire planet. To attack even the gods. Never. You're telling me that you don't hope Earth has been just as leveled as this place. That is what I am telling you. Of course, I hope that my people have triumphed and will return home, though I fear that it will be a hollow victory if they do and return to this. Maybe my people have won, I tell him antagonistically. Maybe they'll be coming back to finish the job any day now. They've had enough time. I calculated that quickly, but it's true. If my side won, they could be coming back any day now. Then again, if the Reds won, they could be back soon too. More for me to kill, if it comes to that. Even now you wish for more death. You show your true nature. I don't need to listen to this bullshit anymore. It's giving me a headache. They warned us about the clerics in training, about how they were smarter than the rest, about how they started this whole war. This one is just a good liar. No, I tell him. You're trying to twist things, but I know the truth. Your people are animals. I saw what you did, and you all deserved what you had coming. Finally, he stands too. This? He asks, spreading his arms to the empty darkness around us, but meaning the desolation that's outside, that's everywhere. I can feel the anger of his words, even if I can't hear it in his voice. My hand drifts instinctively to my holster. My people did not deserve this. No people could deserve this. Not even a monstrous one like yours. Sit down, I tell him. I am not scared of you, he responds defiantly. You should be. Now sit down. Or you will do what? He asks. Kill me, yes? That is what you are thinking, is it not? Of course you are, because you are a killer, a murderer. Will you murder me now? Or do you only murder children? My fist lashes out and catches him in the side of the face. His legs crumple and he collapses onto the floor in a heap. You shouldn't push me, I warn him. I know he can hear me. He's not out. I turn and walk to one of the big machines a few meters away and rest my banging head on its cold metal front. The surface is cool against my skin. I open my eyes and see, faintly in the shadowed light, a panel made of solid steel, held together by rivets. It's not real. There's something there, but it's not what I see. Nothing here is. What if the red man is telling the truth? What if I have just been killing women and children? What if I really don't know anything that I think I know? I've thought about that often enough in the past. I turn to talk to him. Son of a bitch. The cleric's gone. His bag's gone too. You should never let your guard down around an enemy, even one who doesn't seem a threat. I should have known better. I can't let him go now. My pistol leads the way as I head back to the lamp-lit area. I see that my pack and the empty AK is still there. I throw them over my shoulder quickly. Where do you think you're going? I call out. It would be nice if he responds and lets me know which way he's gone. He doesn't, but the sound of the door banging open does. I head in the direction of the noise.